Talk about that and how it is that you see becoming aware of shame and healing shame as so essential on this path of healing specifically from childhood trauma.
Well, yeah, that's, I think that, first of all, going back a bit, trauma was one of the first diagnoses the therapist would share with their clients. Most of the time, we wouldn't go into medical or to technological descriptions or diagnostic descriptions. We might use that for insurance purposes, but it didn't have necessarily a heavy need in the therapy, but trauma did. Because unless someone understands they had trauma, they will feel they're either crazy or broken. And it's really important to help people understand that actually something occurred. It impacted you psychologically, but it also impacted you nervous system-wise, biologically, somatically, and that it can take us a while to heal our emotional wounds, our psychological wounds, but it can take even longer to help the nervous system return from a chronic state of on-guardness, defensive states. And what I have found in my own work is that there's a couple of distinct phases of therapy, and one of them is just helping people initially understand they had trauma, and it has these impacts on you. But the other one, especially when people are no longer having as many symptoms as trauma, their life is not as fragmented, disruptive, or threatened with dysfunction at times. They're more functional. They're able to feel like they have a life, but they harbor this sense of not enoughness inside. The things that I saw lasting longer were the shame. The shame was almost universal in every person that I kind of worked with after trauma. That seemed to be the thing that kept them from moving on. And like you were saying, Tammy, it was only recently that you noticed, oh, when I start paying attention to my anxiety, I can see that there's a little aroma of shame in there somehow, right? But so many of us have the anxiety, get shaming of ourselves for being anxious when there's no reason, and we don't even think of it or look at it as shame. We're just thinking of it as, I'm too anxious, and that's wrong. But if we begin to see, no, you need to understand shame and use it as a way of framing and seeing what's there. Shame is a state, it's a distortion. So just like I wouldn't trust everything I think when I'm enraged, we shouldn't trust most of what we think when we're in shame. It's always going to be horribly against us. So that insight alone is helpful, but it's not curative. What's curative is then, like you said, if I'm in a state of shame and I can connect with a sense of care, either towards myself or being loved by, co-regulating with the world or the universe or God, right? My change, my state shifts. I go out of shame, and all of a sudden, I'm not in that little nightmare of me being a bad person. I'm not shrunk anymore. I'm kind of human again. The problem, in effect, dissolves when we connect with a sense of self-compassion or loving compassion towards us.